we're going to go on to some player awards. So we are now live right here. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the world. We are in two different time zones. It is myself, Matty G, with Skiddy IFS from Insight Podcast Network, right here with Alex Rikleen. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing well. Sorry, my camera's here and you're over here. I'm going to pretend, I'm doing great. This isn't weird at all looking at you and my side. How's it going?
I'm good, man. Look, I think one of the most exciting things to start off with is you are. Look, I don't know how exciting is Boston when you have to wear a cable knit jumper like that in the mornings.
Oh, I put this on to do this recording so that I look professional. I've been wearing shorts and a sweatshirt all day.
We're okay with you having shorts and a sweatshirt all day. That's completely fine.
Alex, I think you look fantastic. But if you're in shorts and a sweatshirt, mate, that is fantastic. Nothing wrong with that, mate. But surely you've got to be excited. You know, Boston Celtics are absolutely rolling at the moment as well. So it's got to be good over there in Boston.
I got to go see the Wemby this week. I was at the game for Jordan Walsh's debut.
Boston.
Wemby's first time in Boston. It was a fun game. It was my first time getting to a game this season. So,
hey, that's crazy as well because when I'm in a group chat with a few of my best mates and everything like that, and when Jordan Walsh entered the game, man, the chat blew up. We are such a big fan of Jordan Walsh. I mean, obviously he's got time to go. You know, he's locked down D. He's going to be great. He looks like, I don't know. I don't want to say what he looks like. But either way,
what's he on pace for? 48 rebounds per game. He's going to be
an absolute walking per 36 monster. The man.
Andre Drummond, get out of here.
Talking about monsters, look, I love that you've got a beer in your hand, Skiddy. I've got a coffee because it is in this one. And Alex, you're late enough in the afternoon to have whatever you want in your hand at this point, but never always in hand straight away. We've had our first question. Shout out to Matt Carmody, longtime listener and multiple time messenger. We love that from Matty. Hey guys, I need to drop 2 out of GG, Tillman, Kessler, McConnell, and Lively in a Yahoo points league. Any suggestions?
Well, one of them's easy. McConnell,
yeah. Tyrese is coming back soon.
Back any day, and McConnell's been disappointing while Halliburton's been out anyways. McConnell's easy, so that dispense with that right away.
There's one.
The question is the rest of them.
Points kind of screams a little bit of.
You just dropped out there too, Alex. Your voice just dropped there a second too.
All right, looks like he's gone mute.
You're muted, Alex. He's like, oh, yep. He's like, oh yeah,
Today's my first day. All right.
There we go.
What's the internet?
Yeah, I would say I was saying Lively is probably my second choice.
Yeah, I'd say Lively. I think actually, to be fair, Kessler's points have been really down lately, just intermittently as well. So I think when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at Kessler's really nice for blocks, but I dropped him in a league because just the minutes there, the 17 minutes or the 13 minutes a night, depending on matchup, is not going to give you the opportunity that GG and Tillman is. But then again, GG was obviously a horrendous crashing disappointment last game, and everyone had high hopes. This is my new favorite guy in fantasy. Oh, GG is going to be it. And then he wasn't him. So I think those are the 3 guys that I would look at.
How much of that do we think was something about the matchup? I mean, Conchar was a DNP CD the night before, and then he started and played 27 minutes. Like, that's not going to happen every night. And hopefully a lot of that shifts back to, I don't know what about last night made it a Conchar game, but right?
Well, look, Johnny Conchar does this. This is what he does. He just gets these games where he gets hot and he all of a sudden is like, should I pick up John Conchar? Is a question that you actually have to ask yourself in an absolutely horrendous Grizzlies team.
100%. I mean, they've got so many injuries that they just need to go on night-to-night basis where they just kind of, they have to have the adjustment going on the fly. So I think JJ's been fantastic. And isn't that crazy that it's like we're all getting hyped up in fantasy over an 18-year-old after his first 4 games or something like that, and he's just popping off. So yeah, I think you keep riding the GJ train. I mean, obviously you're going to have up and down nights because he is so young. So it's just how it's going to be. Tillman's obviously got to have the start next to Jaren. Man, I'll tell you what, I was watching that game so intently last night, and geez, they played so well in that first quarter. Jaren Jackson really showed up, and then they just went to absolute shit, like we all thought they were going to do. So it's a very interesting Grizzlies game because I think, like, there'll be some games where, like, Kennard will go off like he did last night. Conchar will have a couple of good games. Jaren's obviously going to be, like, the focal point. But then they've got so many players where it's just like they need to do something to be able to be somewhat competitive. It's a really interesting Grizzlies team. I rate it.
Mate, look, it's going to be like, I know Matrix was saying last weekend, it could be a fantasy goldmine down the stretch just because of the opportunities that are going to present themselves for players. And as long as you have them on your target, and on your radar the whole time, and you can be observant of that, the lesson we can learn right now is that there's obviously a lot of opportunity in Memphis. Who's going to grab it by the scruff of the neck and make a lot out of it? And I think that's what we need to just keep our eye on and by committee when it comes. Guys, I know, Skiddy, you're going to go and play paintball literally in half an hour because you were at a Bucks party weekend, cracking beers at 8 a.m. in the morning, which is, our hats are off to you for that one. Hey. Alex decided not to wear a hat to take it off for you, but thanks very much for bringing it down, Alex. Hey, I've got a question for you guys. Favorite starting fives to start the NBA season? This is a starting five from you both that is not necessarily your MVPs of the season. I asked Matrix and Big Horse on the 100th episode special, like, who are the guys that you're enjoying watching? So I picked out Halliburton. I enjoyed Maxey. I enjoyed, these are the guys that we're talking about. Skiddy, I'll give you, because I'm throwing you under the bus.
Yeah. Well, that's a common recurrence on this show, isn't it? You just throw me under the bus and give me absolutely no fucking warning before you ask me a question. Warning. So I read that. Well, obviously, it comes with no surprise. My point guard, it's obviously Tyrese Halliburton. He's my boy. I've got him in so many leagues. I just love watching him and love how he controls an offense. I think he's just fantastic. And, I can't give him enough praise. My shooting guard, I'm going to go with... I've been pleasantly surprised with Derek White. I really, really rate his defense and just the little 1% kind of things that he does for the Boston Celtics, as I've said before on this show.
Actually, Alex, can I ask you with that? What's the fan? You're in Boston. You're so the sports media around that way. What's the word on Derek White this season? People have been
over the moon. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
He's got one of the highest approval ratings of a Boston athlete since Mookie Betts.
Wow.
Certainly in the last 5 years, you got to go back to peak Tom Brady to get someone who's disliked by the Boston media and by the fans. The fans love him. Everyone is in on Derek White. It helps that no one's expecting him to be a superstar. We're not looking at him. We're not looking at him. We want him to play defense like Marcus Smart and not play offense like Marcus Smart. And he is exceeding those two.
Exceeding expectations. Well and truly above. So, we've got those two. So that's your backcourt there. You've got Halliburton and Derek White. Skiddy, who's your front court?
Also, too, I feel like as well, Derek White's that kind of player that, as much as, as good as Boston are, everyone else is kind of a bit of fuck the Celtics kind of vibe because, they're so good. They won so many championships, all that kind of stuff. But, I feel like there's no one that can really be, against Derek White just because he is such a good bloke and he's good at basketball and he does everything that's up to next. So I'm a big fan of Derek White. So I'm glad me and Alex are just on the same page of that. It's cute. Small forward. Now, this is a great question. I have no fucking idea. I can't.
Well, how's this? I'll let you think about I'll let you think about your front court. Alex, who's your back court? Who's your two?
I have a clarification question. To be clear, we're talking about are we talking about fantasy or actually
fantasy?
Okay,
fantasy or watching. It's just even guys you enjoying. Who's your fantasy? Right. I'm calling it fantasy. It's a fantasy show, but it's really a fucker. Who are your favorite two guys?
If it's watching, then Halliburton has to be there. But if we're talking from a fantasy perspective, I mean, who's happier than someone who drafted Tyrese Maxey this season? I like kind of saw it coming, but I didn't have the courage of my convictions to go full in on it. And that's my biggest disappointment is just not trusting myself to really just be no, Maxey's going to be my guy. I'm going to hammer it. And I didn't do that, and that's on me. But he's even done better than my optimistic case. He's been so fun to roster. And I mean, I can't imagine, has anyone traded away Tyrese Maxey this season? Everyone's just along for the ride and having a great time.
I had a trade. This is one of the things that broke my heart. I had a trade for him one day before the trade with Harden went through to the Clippers, and it was all good. It was Bogdan Bogdanovic and Kobe White for Tyrese Maxey was the trade, and this was before pre-Harden, and everyone absolutely just hated on it so intently. That's horrible. Kobe White shit. Bogdan Bogdanovic is anyone. Okay, so he's
right.
Kobe White's been really bloody good, and Bogdan Bogdanovic will win the Sixth Man of the Year probably. So
whoa! Let's not take away from Karis LeVert of how good he's playing. All right.
Shut up, Cavs fan. Shut up, Cavs fan. You've had beers already in the morning. You're fine. By the way, just because this is so egregiously out there for Donny Sicario, who's
I know.
Jeez.
How's Donny? I'm a big fan of Donny, and he's coming here just shitting on Alex like our special guest.
That's not Donny. Don't do that to the guest, Don. That's brutal. But so you got Maxey and Halliburton 100%. Back to your front court, Skiddy. Who you got there now?
Well, no. I was actually going to go for a second one because Halliburton is for watching, but fantasy, he's been what I expect. The other one for fantasy that I've just really enjoyed has been Grayson Allen. He's nobody's favorite player.
Wow, yeah.
He's not the most fun to watch, but he's been exceptional. It's the fact that his roster rate is still below 70% is absurd. He's a top 60 player. He's been great.
The guy's a streamer. He's making people's weeks every time. He's huge.
He's been excellent, and I've been holding him most of the season in several leagues, and I've been delighted with it.
He's also 30th over the past 3 weeks, but also too, he's been great for fantasy. Let's just also not forget that he is an asshole and he's a shit. So let's not forget that.
He was created in a laboratory that spent decades trying to craft the perfect Duke villain. And honestly, hats off to the scientists. I actually have a Duke hat. I was a big Duke fan growing up. One of my babysitters was a Duke, went to Duke, and so I rooted for them until I was older.
Now we got to get into it because I know that you're on a clock. Let's go front court.
Yes,
you got the back court. That's a great take as well. Grayson Allen is one that does slip under people's radar because it is Grayson Allen, but he has been nothing short of exceptional this year.
Yeah, I do apologize as well. So, for clarification, I am on a Bucks weekend, and I do have to go paintballing in about 3 minutes. So, I'll quickly run through these, and I'm going to let you guys...
15 minutes. You said 8:30. Yeah. You got 15 minutes.
I do, but unfortunately, we messed up how long it's going to take to actually get there, and we forgot about we have to do the actual rules to get there. So, I do apologize. I'm going to have to leave shortly. Small forward... I feel like it's been a hard one because, a lot of the small forwards, you've just kind of been, expecting what they're going to be. I don't classify him as a small forward, but he is a small forward eligible on ESPN. So I'm going to say Paolo Banchero. I feel like besides his percentages, which are dog shit, I feel like Paolo's just been exceeding all expectations, and he's been doing it because of his assist rate has bumped up massively, and then also he's been able to get some defensive stats. So I've been riding high on Paolo. I was higher on Paolo than most other people coming in because I didn't give a shit about the percentages. If you don't care about the percentages, Paolo is fantastic to watch. If you do care about the percentages, then it's a tough watch. I'm coming. Power forward. Power forward. Who am I going to say for power forward? I guess maybe Jalen Johnson from Atlanta. He's been a massive spark. He's been fantastic. And then center-wise, center. There's been a few disappointments, but how can you not go past Joel Embiid of how good he's playing? I feel like this is actually his MVP season. Yeah. I still feel like he didn't deserve it last year. It was still Jokic, but I feel like this year he's really turning it up and he's showing that he is the most dominant player in the NBA.
Nice. Well, Skiddy, I know that you have to. I know that you have to do it because I know that there's. I know that there's guys. And so all I'm going to do is this. I'm going to remove you and make this a seamless me and Alex pod now because you're going to go and boys. Shoot people with fake weaponry, which is fantastic, and make sure that you
all the best, my boys.
Good to
appreciate
see you.
it. Have a good one.
Get out of here, Skiddy. Take care. Oh, geez, mate. What a time to be alive. Good to see you.
You too. Thanks for having me. Jalen Johnson, probably a solid take. Maybe the waiver wire pickup of the year, right? Like, has anyone who started the year like basically universally unrostered been better? No one's jumping to mind. I've got the ranks in front of me. And I'm not,
I don't think there's one single guy that everyone saw coming. I thought everyone was going to see a leap from him with John Collins moving off the board in Atlanta. I thought that was like they did that for a reason to open up Jalen Johnson. We could see there was going to be a potential, but not this. Like he was like a last round flyer pick.
Exactly.
Like he was like your 100 pick 130th, pick 140th. In fact, I can actually go into one of my ESPN, into my Yahoo league because he was on the waiver wire, when he got injured because he still hadn't found his form early in the season. And so he was like, what do we do with Jalen Johnson? He's around. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a flyer on this guy for when he comes back. And I don't want to look back, hopefully. And I haven't. Like, I've been like overwhelmingly. And one of my biggest things was I got him in one league, but I was in a really tight race in another league. So I had to wait for how the schedule drops and you can't make an ad until that guy's played. Yeah. So I waited until that and then someone just snuck in about an hour beforehand and saw him sitting there. And that absolutely broke my heart. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So I guess for the rest of my starters, I'd probably go Bane for my small forward. I thought about Paolo as well, but as he was saying, the percentages have just been so tough. Bane's been fun. He's been the bright spot for his team. It's just been fun to see him developing into a star. And then I'm going to go two centers and pretend that one of them counts as power forward. On some sites, one of them does. Hartenstein, well, Hartenstein is who I'm saying right now. Hartenstein was actually one of my most drafted players this offseason. Because of a number of deep leagues I'm in, not someone I was drafting in a normal 12-team league, but I did get him in a lot of deeper formats, and so having him has been great. With got a little lucky with lucky for me, not for Mitchell Robinson, but that injury has certainly helped. And Sengun, my guy, my.
You were high on Sengun.
I mean, confession, like I don't have Sengun anywhere this year because I actually thought, as much as I love him and have been all over him from the moment he was drafted, I actually thought his ADP might have been a little high this year. And no, he's done better than his ADP. He's been great.
Yeah, he has been. And I think this is what everyone kind of wanted for him.
Yeah.
We wanted this for him. We want good things for you, Albie. We want good things for you. And then it came to fruition, and I don't think any of us have looked back ever since. And I think that's the thing that we need to keep in mind as well, that we should probably, when we're doing these, we should absolutely look to add guys who we want to have, but not an aggressive ADP. We don't want to go and pursue guys when we draft just because we love them. We don't want to see them go off the board to someone else. We don't necessarily want to jump 2 or 3 rounds to make that happen because that loses us value or anywhere else. But I think we had another one in chat here. This is a really interesting question from K-Flow, who's come in a few times. Morning, evening, gents, wherever you are. What's the juiciest NBA rumor you want to happen during the deadline? That I want to happen or that I think is going to going to happen?
I'll have to pull up the depth charts and take a quick scan. I try actually to really check out on the rumors just because so many of them are subterfuge and I'll react when it happens. Although let me see.
I think this is one of the things that I did expect today, that the DeJounte Murray to the Lakers saga is just so ongoing. I didn't see them making that trade, especially because D'Angelo Russell would have to be involved. So I've always questioned his fit in Atlanta unless there was a third team getting involved to facilitate him moving away from Trae Young. I think it's always, for me, the Lakers is the juiciest because there is always a trade around a LeBron team around the deadline. So I think for me, not the juiciest is there just seems to be movement around him. Even Colin Sexton, and Matt Company message, Colin Sexton has been great lately. He has been, and he's even been linked to the Lakers now. So I always just find the intrigue that swirls around a LeBron James team really interesting because they generally have ripples. I think it's like a spy versus spy comic. You know, you make this trade, I want to make another trade and outdo you every single time. So I think that's one of the probably the juiciest things because I think some people will wait until see the Lakers do and then make their plays.
The trade, I don't think it's going to happen, but the trade I want to happen the most is I want Indiana to get rid of Isaiah Jackson. I want him to go to a place where he's going to get one, more than 20 minutes per game, and two, consistent night-to-night usage. At least let us know ahead of time, like, what we're going to do. Because right now you're sort of in that obnoxious world of, like, you know, when he's going to play 20, 23, 24 minutes, he's great and rosterable even in a sort of standard 12-team league, but some nights he's going to go back to 10 minutes and we don't know ahead of time what that is. And it's kind of infuriating. He's so good per minute. I would love to see him go somewhere else, even if he doesn't become a starter, just to have a consistent role. Unfortunately, I think Jalen Smith is more likely to get traded than Isaiah is. So I don't know that this is necessarily in our future, but that's the one I would like to see.
I do see the Pacers sit on their hands sometimes. So I was really happy to actually see them make and I know I say that and they're a team that's active, but they do sit on their hands with these guys for a while. Like they do, like we're going to trade. Yeah. It goes back to the Miles Turner and the Buddy Hield saga for a couple of years there. They're going. And they don't go.
And Goga, I mean, they sat on Goga for years, and he's another one who I considered for my center spot for our list earlier. He's been solid this year,
and in a role which is per minute, like pretty shitty. Let's be honest, like that's a bit if you like, but at the same time, really, really good if you only have to go and do your job well for 20 minutes a night.
Yeah,
because this is the thing which happened. Like it was all Wendell Carter Jr. and Wendell Carter Jr. had his first decent game. I think it was against Utah. That game. I can't remember what it was, but I remember it was like the last minute and a half they were up, and it was such an innocuous. Like when he grabbed for the ball, it was so innocuous. Like I've corked it, you know. And if you're a basketball player, you know that happens all the time. Like it goes, that hurts like hell, you know, like a pop. Of
course.
And that's what it looked like, but it was much more severe than that. Goga and Mo obviously had to run that center spot for them for a long time. And they're like, you know what? These guys are good.
Man, yeah.
And so, these bring them in. Let's let these two fellas run our center spot. We don't even need Wendell Carter Jr. And that's been the other interesting rumor that Wendell Carter Jr. is now on the move potentially as a result of his injury. So I think there's a lot of things we can glean. I know some people have made him as a waiver wire pickup this week, and he's been hollow. Like the points are nice. The percentages have been okay. So they're a good boy. But I see him possibly as a streaming target until there's consistency around his role at the same time.
Yeah, it's hard. I want to hold.
No, I definitely want to pull him into my team, use him where I need to, get a win, and then see where I need to move in for the next week. So I think that's been the juicy. Is there anyone that's like underlying that's been sneaky under the radar for you that you think is going to be a small move? Like the Toronto, any more Raptors movement? Because I'm hearing they're not done.
I don't think they're done. But what about what's going on the Wizards? Like, if no, seriously though.
Like, no, it is. It's a good question.
Like, it is. I would love to see Kyle Kuzma get traded. Yeah, like he's not. If he's not your lead player, you're not going to be a good team. But I do think he could be a fourth starter on a good team. No, so
he was a great Laker in that role as another option. And if he gets that back, I see him being better. And he can be that. He can be anywhere. Boston. Oh, no, actually not Boston. But any team where he doesn't need to be the big dog.
From a basketball standpoint, it would be fun to see him in games that matter. And from a fantasy standpoint, I would love to see. I would love to see if Koulibaly's minutes could get hiked up a couple. Like if Avdia or Kuzma get traded, could we see Koulibaly get up he's like at 26 right now. Could we see him get up to 30 minutes per game, which probably is enough to get him on rosters with how good his defense is. So that's a possible one that I'm tracking.
And I think his defense, along with Gafford, would be a really nice long-term fit there in Washington. And they've just picked up as well. He had a massive, massive game last one. Marvin Bagley, like that was wild. Like toot on the Marvin Bagley train. I was like, do I add this guy? I'm so inherently not looking at his name and being like, I see Bagley, I think bagel. I just think cream cheese. It's all I'm doing. I just want to nosh on a bagel every single time I see the man's name. And I saw that line and I was like, oh, Jesus, he's gone and done it. He's got everyone's hopes up again.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen for a long time as well. But no, I think
until they make a trade,
Jones isn't rumored as well. But this is that you've heard the Tyus Jones rumors. They've just brought him in this year. That's really interesting for me there, Alex, because why would you bring in such a talented point guard who is better than Jordan Poole, in my mind? I think
I think it's because they're a poorly managed team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we had this one here too. Hello guys. Chances. Oh, this is an interesting one. Bagley cuts into Gafford's production going forward. Gafford is pretty safe there. Gafford is pretty.
Gafford is safe, and he's better than Bagley. And at the moment, the Wizards only have 2 centers. So unless they acquire someone in a trade, then they're in a position where it's all Gafford and Bagley anyways, and there's enough minutes available. Gafford only plays 20? He's averaging 26, 27, 28, 9.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
There's plenty of minutes left for Bagley to be at least a streaming option without cutting into Gafford's role. So no, I'm not worried about Gafford at all. He's a better player, and they don't have enough centers for it to matter.
No, 100% there. We've got another one is Brogdon. Here's the one from Matt Carmody. Brogdon could be traded. I'd like to see him come back to the Bucks. He's a perpetual trade machine, this bloke. Yeah. He goes, like, Brogdon, I think, is the most, like, he'll be one of these guys who gets about 12 jerseys in his locker by the end of his career, because I don't know what it is about the president, but people just, I don't know if it's injury history or his leadership or where he ends up. I think it's the injuries. Yeah, I think it's buy and beware. We all saw his trade get shut down with the Clippers earlier this season, and then he gets traded anyway on a team, and then he comes out sometimes in Portland and plays like an absolute wizard. Not that I would ever like to see him in the Washington Wizards. I think he is too good for the Wizards.
I mean, obviously we're not scouts and we don't see these people's like medical or whatever, but the consistent rumor is that if Brogdon didn't have the worst medicals in the draft process of all time, it's just because he was second to Porter Jr. And that those two, their medicals were so much worse than anything anyone had ever seen from a serious prospect.
And everyone needs to think as well, like that was, you're right, because Porter Jr. was seen to be a lottery pick. He was like a top 5, like
top two.
He was, this guy was like, this is like the future. His whole family are hoopers. He is like, he's the new Kevin Durant was the word on the street. Like, this big 7-foot kind of guy, wrangly, got a shot, can rebound, can do everything. His back was mangled. But the Nuggets took a flyer on him. We've got nothing better to do than take this pick now. It's like the Cam Whitmore situation. When a guy just falls into your lap at a point, you've just got to say, it's the best player on the board, like in fantasy. When the player drops you, like, this is the best player on the board. Let's put him in rehab for a year and see where it goes. And it's been a long process for the Nuggets, but the result has been an NBA championship. So
it's not, I mean, it's been the strategy for a lot of the great teams right now. The Nuggets took players who fell and held on to what was best. Bol was similar. It didn't work out as well, but part of the point is you're taking these high upside players who are falling and hoping. The 76ers, it's not just that they were tanking for so long, but the players they took with the tank were Nerlens and Embiid, these guys who might have been number 1 picks had they not gotten hurt and fell because of injury, and some of them worked out.
And one of them now is undisputably one of the best players in the NBA. Like this is it. And also, I love that he's still come back to the show because he's obviously in the car right now and he's listening to a Skiddy. He's decided 2 steals and 3 blocks is unheard of. Drop his ass when Gaffer comes back, not worth it in 18 minutes. No, it's not. It's absolutely not what you want to do. Another one here from Joseph Kim. Kevin Love or Keontae George, ROS value in 16-team 9-cap, punting, blocks, and turnovers. I just say Keontae because I just love the upside with him. I think he's got a nice roll off the bench there. We haven't seen a healthy Miami Heat. Oh, look at this. Skiddy, I got you, boys. What we'll do is we'll just have questions pop up and we won't say anything. We'll talk about a completely different topic and let Skiddy read the screen and then have him play text messages in the live chat. I'm Keontae George all the way. I don't think we've seen the best of him to come. Are you agree there? Do you like what you've seen from Keontae this season?
Completely. I'm very high on him, very excited about him. I think he's already exceeded expectations. And, I don't think that, the Jazz might stick around and make a play for the play-in tournament. I think that is less like they are. But I do think that is less likely, and the more likely scenario is they fall a little bit and they let Keontae get some more minutes and get some more run. And just the value of assists in a 16-team league is massive, hard to catch.
But that's double-digit assists you can get out of this guy in a game. Like, you're not going to get that. And especially if Colin Sexton does get moved, whether it be to that rumored Lakers trade or to anywhere in the NBA. Like, there's 20 other 9 teams out there that if Colin if the young bull goes anywhere, it's Keontae minutes immediately that it's impacted by that one. He'll be one of the hottest ads on the waiver wire, 100% that day. Cheers to you too. Talking about rookies, because I haven't got to talk to you much about the rookies since the season came up there. What's been some of your favorite things to start off with the rookies that are playing this season and been their upside? Because you did see the other night Victor Wembanyama in the flesh versus the Boston Celtics. Yeah. Tell me about watching the big guy go to work and what was that like in the audience, and what was just because you're in an opposition audience, you're a Celtics guy, you're there. It's TD Garden, but then this generational talent walks into the place. What was the vibe in the room for that?
I mean, it was a nice situation where I think pretty much everyone felt relatively confident in the win, even before tip off. And so we were all able to enjoy, just enjoy and appreciate Wemby, who's just not human. He does stuff that doesn't make sense. He's grabbing balls so far away from the rim, and he's so much taller than everyone else out there. What's his face? Our backups, Cornette. Cornette's like, I believe he's the 3rd tallest player in the NBA right now, and he is a shrimp next to Wemby. I think it's Wemby, Porzingis, and Cornette are the top 3 in the league in terms of height. And Wemby's not just a little taller. Like, he's obviously sitting in the bleachers way up high, clearly much taller. And he's incredible. He moves like nothing I've ever seen before.
And we were saying when we were DMing back and forth, they decided to roll him out there for an extra 27 minutes the other night. And his cap's supposed to be 24. They're just like, just let him go and cook in 27 minutes. And it's the thing for me when I love it is his post play when he has that ball up and he turns his back to the rim on that little angle. He's holding a ball at basket level away from everyone else on a basketball court. It's like he's just got that in the post, and he can do with that anything in his directions, and his vision as well is absolutely exceptional. Talking about that, we've got a whole bunch of games today coming up, and we should start with them because we do a daily rundown to see who we like and any notes of interest from each of these teams for your daily rundown. Usually Skiddy and I do a parlay. You call them parlays. You do we call them multis here in Australia. So we do a multi-bet on who over unders. And I know, Skiddy, that you're listening, and he will put some advice in there. I can guarantee you what he likes straight away. We've got the San Antonio Spurs versus the Charlotte Hornets today. I think one of the biggest news for this one is that Mark Williams may be dead, and we just have not been told yet. I think this is this has been an atrocious waste in an NBA fantasy season for the upside that he had. Steve Clifford's come out and said he just sounded innocuously indifferent about his return. He was like, might be back. Shrug.
I hate this. At least they finally told us he's now week to week. But he was day to day for a month. You know, Ayton was day to day for 3 weeks. I hate this trend of teams just like, nah, we're not going to tell you.
And it's the tanking team. It's the shitty teams as well. It's not like everyone cares.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If this was the Boston Celtics and it was like Kristaps Porzingis, everyone would be going nuts about it because it's obviously a contending team. But it's the Charlotte Hornets in Portland. We don't care. We know you suck and going nowhere. We know you're kind of tanking. But just be honest about the situation there. Questionable as well is Nick Richards, his replacement there. Gordon Hayward, possible trade candidate. He is still away about a week or two coming back from his injury. Today in the bottom, in the tanking teams a-thon today, the San Antonio Spurs or the Charlotte Hornets, who do you think is going to get the win here?
I mean, I think the Spurs are a more serious team. I think that they're like, it hasn't gone well, but they've got real players. I mean, I know that the Hornets are favored, but the Spurs seem like they're actually like trying and stuff.
They are, and Wemby's out tonight. Zach Collins is questionable coming back as well, which is good to see that Zachy Collins is coming back in with the center spot today. So they're going to.
Oh, you're right. Wemby's out though. They're not going to win with Wemby out though. They're not.
Yeah, they're not going to win.
They just don't have enough talent with Wemby out. That explains. That explains. I was like, why is it 4.5? That doesn't make sense.
Right, Charlotte by 4.5, and the over's 235. They're just going to score a shit load of points. The next one today is Philadelphia and Orlando. It's Philadelphia by 5, which I think they can cover this spread very easily. Of course, Franz Wagner, who was starting to hit his stride, is still out for another couple of games, so he's looking to return in week 14. No real injuries for the rest of them. Basically, this one, who are you liking here?
I mean, yeah, the 76ers. I almost wonder if like you could even go the under, even though it's a low 222, which is low this season. I could see that game going kind of slow and both teams sort of like, you know, putting their defense in it.
Especially with Chuma Okeke. He's not exactly going to generate a lot of offense, you Chuma Okekes.
Yeah. They're good defensive teams.
They really are. Denver and Boston. This is going to be an absolute cracking game in town tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know if are you able to get there in 3 hours? Just be able to be like, thank you, wife and kids. I'm just going to go and check out the game.
Let me ask her. No, she's got a deadline in 10 minutes. I can't interrupt her.
You got KP. KP is off the injury report. So is Derek White. Eric Gordon is probable for tonight's. Look, Boston by 7 and over under 234. Boston by 7 is a clear favorite. I think it could be a lot closer than this.
I would expect it to be closer than this, but I do also expect Boston to hold out at home. You know, I do expect Porzingis and White to play, and this is a game that Boston has been talking about. People were talking about. You could hear people, you know. I heard multiple people in different directions, just like walking through the stadium on Wednesday, talking about this game on Friday. Yeah. There was almost more conversation about that than there was about Wemby. I think that people know this game is coming. People care about this streak. I think the Celtics are going to be ready and focused. Denver's excellent. You know, you're not supposed to bet. You're not supposed to like middle it with bet Boston to win and Denver +7, but I do think it would be under the spread, but Boston still to win.
This is more of a test for Boston than it is for Denver. When you're the reigning NBA champions and you've had a solid season despite injuries and ins and outs to your lineups, that's fine. And there's nothing really from a fantasy lens you can grab here for a stream in an 8-game day when it's two of the best teams in the NBA. Like there's other and better options from a fantasy perspective out there. But this is more of a test for Boston to show that they are championship contenders coming out of the East, and put a few haymakers on Denver just to see what it goes. And their lineup with KP, this is what we want to see. With Drew Holiday out there, it's an interesting matchup, and I think it's going to be a heck of a game because they're interchangeable, but Denver is just so long and wily. Gordon being probable, it was the only red herring in the mix for us. I think he takes the court, and we'll see where that goes from that one. We've got Phoenix and New Orleans. This is another one that I am really curious by. New Orleans are the favorites by 2. There are no major outs for the team apart from Bol Bol. because everyone was loving some bowl action for Phoenix a few weeks ago. This is another one which is a really interesting Western Conference race because the Pels, since the in-season tournament, have kind of grown up and got their shit together a little bit, to be fair. And I think they kind of just stirred the pot a little bit, the Lakers, just putting an absolute blow on them in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And Phoenix looked good. Yeah. With your boy Grayson Allen and Booker, and Beal back in the lineup. What are your thoughts there?
This is just, I think, the 6th or 7th game all season that the Suns will have their actual starting lineup. So they're still very much getting the feel for each other. I maybe I'm just like, classic national media elite, not giving the Pelicans their respect. I don't know if I count as national media elite, but
international media elite. We're in Australia, you're in Boston, international media. It's fine.
But I don't really trust them as much in this, and I do. The Suns having their full lineup together, I've been impressed. And Grayson Allen's just going to drop another 9 threes and. But yeah, I mean, I hope it's a good game. But I would expect the Suns to pull this out.
This is an interesting one. The Atlanta Hawks versus the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler will suit up today. Miami is favored by 7 against an Atlanta Hawks that presumably can never play defense. Can I just ask,
is that allowed?
What was that?
Is defense
allowed? No.
Okay. Yeah.
Not if you're Atlanta. If you're Atlanta, you have to boycott defense and just try and win by offense alone. That's just the sole driving. Like, it just seems like that's what they do.
It's working for the Pacers.
It's working for the over under of the last 2 Pacers games, and Pacers and Atlanta Hawks games have been the highest ever overs in NBA history. And Skiddy was on the pod,
and one of them went over, right?
2 of them went over, I think. Was there a third one? How many times have they played? Is it 2 or 3 times?
I think they've played twice.
I think they've played twice because the first one, and it went over both times only because Indiana killed them, because Skiddy, he's probably there. I could see Hawkins having a bigger role, by the way, for the New Orleans Pelicans. Yeah, he's been playing really well. Yeah. They've been a really good, competent team. The one thing that I'm keeping my eye on actually with New Orleans is I don't know if Dyson Daniels is going to be around in that team for too long, Australian bloke, because they've got a lot of just little fringy talent there. They need to make more minutes for Najee Marshall. I think, they've got Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy's
minutes are low still.
And I dropped him. I had to drop him this week, and that killed me because I love Trey Murphy, but the minutes weren't there. And I was like, I've got to get a Grayson Allen. Yeah. If Grayson Allen's on my waiver wire, and they're playing on the same night, you've got to have him. Like,
he's just an objectively better fantasy player than Trey Murphy right now.
And God knows I wish it wasn't so. I won a season last year on the back of him. Like, I had to make a tactical. I lost Cade Cunningham in the first couple of weeks last season, and I had to trade away. And I picked up Trey Murphy on a whim, and he has been
that worked out great.
He worked out fantastically well. So I've my hats off to the fella. And he's, when those guys, I think we get. It's the separation of church and state in fantasy. The guys that we love or we're tenured to by our adoration or our respect for what they've done in our fantasy teams. Like, we get invested in these guys who we've never met in our entire lives, who we just see statistics come up and up. And that's what makes fantasy such truly a special experience, I think, as the user, is the engagement that we have with finding these gold mines of guys like Trey Murphy. So you always want good things for these guys. Yeah. That being said, we never want bad things for anyone, because we don't want people injured. We want to see the best out there in the world. So, here we go. Another one, back to this one. Yes, straight away, Admiral Nita. Absolutely. And also, I love the name. Is he a stash? Yes, he is. And I actually don't think he's a stash. I think he's a playable person. Yeah. Do you think Utah is trying to make the playoffs and keep Keontae on the bench? Look, what's your response there, Alex, for this question?
They're going to try to make the playoffs until they're not. I think that we can. Danny Ainge we've got experience.
Oh, your mic's just dropped again, mate.
Did I do it again?
There you go. You're back.
Again?
You're back.
Back.
You're back. It's a little bit foggy, but it's here.
All right. What about
there
now?
You go. Maybe. Perfect.
There we go.
Perfect.
Great. we saw this with Danny Ainge. I think it was Marcus Smart's rookie year, where everyone in Boston was saying, tank, tank, tank. Let's, we're not going to be any good. And we made the playoffs. I think it's like the 8th seed. And that playoff experience was great for Marcus. It was great for the team. It was great for our building, the culture and whatever that was happening there. And on the flip side of it, you have what was happening in Utah last year, where they were in the race and they stayed in the race and they worked on that until it was clear that they weren't going to make it. And once that was clear, they traded away Mike Conley because they could get something. If someone gives Ainge a good enough offer to shoot himself in the foot for this year to improve the long term, he will. But he's not going to sell short. He's not going to just zoom out and say long term is the only thing that matters. He does see the value in winning now. So 100%. They'll go for it until the moment someone makes them an offer he can't refuse, at which point they'll turn around and tank. And we just don't know what other people will offer.
You're spot on. Danny Ainge, was it in Boston? The old rumor was he'd trade his own grandmother to make the team better. Like he would literally maybe trade a child. I have no idea what the man is capable of, but he is a very savvy GM when it comes to this. So he will always pivot long-term and he will do the best for Utah. And again, whether that is Colin Sexton getting out of the team, which seems to be the biggest minutes hold up, but Keontae, especially like you said, in a 16-team league, like I'm going to just check his Yahoo ownership. I remember seeing it the other day and it had gone down again. And that always intrigues me when guys have been playing well, getting up. I talked about it the other day that they're the sexy dress. 27%. He's up 2%. Up 2% in the last day. Points are the sexy dress. Like they're the Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman. Points are the sexy red dress Julia, who's there and all gussied up because you get attracted to this beautiful thing. You don't want the street big boots unless you're into that kind of thing, kind of Pretty Woman. But, points seem to be this, like points and threes and free throw percentage. And you see these gaudy stats and maybe you see 2 rebounds and 2 or 3 assists and maybe a steal every other game. And you get really compelled by that. That's not to say that that Colin Sexton has been horrendous by any means. He's actually having the best run of his career at this current point in time. But that's also trade bait in many ways. That actually is the sexy dress to many GMs. They get to notice him. Is he reaching his potential? And if he is on the trade block, this is what makes him an attractive ad to other teams in the NBA, which then makes in fantasy Keontae George an attractive ad once that move happens. So that's the impact of that real world in our fantasy world, which it is, especially when we're talking about pretty women. Today, I'm going to give Indiana and Portland. Oh, look, Indiana all the way. Tyrese Halliburton is questionable. It's the back-to-back for them. And this is his comeback so early from a grade 1 ankle sprain. It's ridiculous.
Well, yes, but I mean, look, I'm no injury person, and you got to be careful with the sort of Twitter injury experts because on some level, they don't know any more than us, but they also do have databases. And when a Twitter injury person pulls up their database and says, the average amount of missed time for a grade 1 ankle sprain is this, we can listen to that. And I think the average amount of missed time for a grade 1 ankle sprain would only have him out a couple more games. So it is early, but it's only a couple days early. People overreacted. The fear of him getting hurt, people held on to even after the diagnosis came out. Once we had that diagnosis, people got a little too excited about TJ McConnell.
He, in industry pickup league, I know this one as well, set the record for, was it 300? I remember I saw the tweet, $350 something.
Yeah, he went for so much.
He went for so much. What's your budget in that? Is it a K?
It's 1,000, but yeah, I put in like 101 and I was like, this is high, but all right. What if it's the long end of 2.5 weeks? Yeah, I was really surprised he went so high.
Yeah, he went really high because I think this is also a guy who's been rumored to be traded as well, TJ McConnell, which is the other insane thing. But now he could possibly be traded again because he's more valuable. He's now good. Valuable because he's good and he's a great backup point guard. And again, teams all we're hearing is like people like the Lakers are looking for a point guard. Is it TJ McConnell or Tyus Jones? Is it someone dependable who can generate offense and play good basketball? With Halliburton coming back. TJ would be great for them. I would be really into seeing that, and this is an interesting team today for Indiana. Questionable is Tyrese, Aaron Naismith, Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, and Pascal Siakam could be taking the floor for the first time. And I think that's what we really want to see today. That'll be really fun to see this new lineup if they are fully healthy. Anthony Simons is questionable and DeAndre Ayton is probable. So that's just probably management. He probably might run out there, but Matisse Thybulle's been injured. Duop Breathe has been doing a really great job in the starting lineup as well. Yeah. They've got some good young talent. Scoot Henderson. Are you buying stock? Are you selling stock on Scoot Henderson?
Yeah, I'm still buying stock. I think that anyone who holds on to that status as, a potential number one pick for multiple years, the track record, there are players like, for example, Markelle Fultz. And granted, everything that happened with Fultz is weird, but he also happens to be a good example for this. There are players who kind of come out of nowhere to be the number one pick. But then there are players like Wemby who you knew they were going to be the number one pick when they were like 9 years old. Scoot Henderson was expected to be the number 1 or 2 pick for years, and he held that spot for years. And there are no concerns about his personality or maturity. That is the profile of a player who I will hold on to more than 30 games into his career or whatever. I'm going to need to see, honestly, a year and a half or more of disappointment before I even consider selling on him.
No, 100%. I think he's been, I really think he's just a solid young human. Yeah. The way that he's tied himself to the Curry brand as well, under that, to have some mentorship in the NBA, he's conducting himself like a professional. And you might ask, what is that? You guys are talking about fantasy basketball. What does that have to do with shit? Well, everything. Because generally speaking, when you're a professional and you're doing your job well, you do your job well. And what is his job? It's playing basketball. It's getting better as a player. And the implications directly of that are that he lowers his turnovers, his field goal efficiency improves because he makes better decisions on the court. His points per game goes up. His assists per game go up. His shot gets better. He's been inconsistent from the free throw line, which is a little bit of I think that's just, it's so weird for him. Like, he came when he was 100% from the line. I think his first 3 or 4 games, if I go back and look at and then he was 500 and then he misses some randomly. It's like, it was really weird, his free throw percentage. I was really high on his free. There was a streak there where he was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games he didn't miss a free throw on volume of 4 or 5 a game. And then he was 500 and then again, perfect. And then 4 games of 500, missed one. And it goes in, and then last time he hit 5. So it's just been this thing that we want to see. But on volume, when he had 9, which is the most that he's had all season long on his 33-point game, he was 770 from the field. So almost 800. So that's okay. We want to see that. So we want to see the maturity of Scoot come, because I think he might slip in drafts next year because of that. And that's where I'm keeping my eye on him. Probably not like for this season. If you can get him, you can get him. Great. People are going to pick him up and drop him as well based on his efficiencies and his turnovers. So that's something to keep on your radar. But Alex, I think he's someone to keep on your watch list for next season to see where he starts to go, because he could fall a little bit and represent value. Again, we just need to see what happens in the guard spot with Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons and Scoot. But if he gets the start next year in Portland, this is a guy who we could get it. Scoot could be really good late in the season. Yeah. And they will shut guys down again, most likely as well, Matty. 100%.
Almost certainly.
They do it all the time. And we've heard Grant could possibly be traded as well, who they paid a bag to under the guise that Damian Lillard was going to stick around. And then, because Jeremy's his mate, basically, it was jobs for mates payday. And then Damian got shipped off. So Dame's a buck now. So we never know what's going to happen there. And our last game of the day, the Brooklyn Nets versus the Los Angeles Lakers, initially questionable. On the injury report was Mikal Bridges to break his streak. It looks like he will play today, even if it's for 2 minutes, and then he walks out. With the surging Los Angeles Lakers, back with what Darvin Ham has come out to said, this will be our starting lineup moving forward. The buy low window, or the pick him up off the waiver wire because he was playing like shit, has closed on D'Angelo Russell for now. Austin Reeves is playing better. Taurean Prince seems to be the tenured small forward in the role here. I think the Lakers get the win there by 7 and 224. Mikal Bridges, though, I'm curious on your thoughts there in the guards. Is there a room and opportunity for him to get better for the rest of this season because he's been inconsistent?
I mean, there's room for him to improve his consistency, but I think his ceiling is what we saw at the end of last year. What his stats with Brooklyn last year, 26, 4.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. I don't really see a world where anything gets better than that, but he hasn't been doing that so far this year. And so I do think that it's certainly possible that his numbers can, his consistency can improve and he can get closer to that. I think that I don't think he's going to get all the way there, but I do think he'll get a little bit better down the stretch when some of the opponents get a little easier. Some of them get harder, but some of them get easier. That would be my guess.
And look, over on the season, he's ranked about 90th for the year, which has been a shame for all those people who took him in the second or the third round, hoping for this somewhat breakout from Mikal Bridges, or at least just more consistency from last year. Yeah. His averages have been down, which has been the disappointing thing, where he was like plus 500. He's below 450. And that's the biggest hit. When the steals go away to under 1, which they have, it's at 0.8 for the year. He loses that, I guess, that appeal that we loved from him. He was he was the prototype for 3-and-D back in his Phoenix days for so long. Like, this was like everyone wanted a Mikal Bridges. Like, GMs were saying, I need a Mikal Bridges on my team.
Yeah. I think GMs probably still should be trying to get a Mikal Bridges on a team. The problem is he shouldn't be the number one option. He's just Mikal Bridges is a great player. I would love to have him on the Celtics. His contract is a bargain for the teams. He is underpaid, but he's just not a number one guy. That's okay. There are like 20 number one guys. There aren't even 30 number one guys. Several teams don't have one. But
this is so true. We don't think about it like that. You're all-star starting fives. There's 10 blokes straight away who are this is literally your all-star starting 5. And then they're the replacements of probably number one guys as well, like the next 5 guys off the bench. But that's kind of where you draw the line.
Yeah.
Like when you start to look at it, when you look at the depth of the all-star teams, like when you start to get to those last picks, it kind of tapers out. Let's just say your NBA all-star teams are the max for number one guys. Well, there's 24 and there's 30 NBA teams. If you're one of these guys who loves the meme, that math isn't mathing. No, the math is not math. Right. There's 24 number ones in 30 teams. So 6 teams are going to miss out on a number one option. And it's quite possible that it's the Brooklyn Nets. He does need a better offset. Cam Thomas has disrupted that team. Yeah. Like the other day, I saw the most egregious call for them down the stretch. They had a chance to win it or tie the game against Miami. And Jacques Vaughn didn't call a timeout when they got the ball with 4 seconds left. And basically Mikal Bridges had to dribble the whole length of the court and then guide into 3 guys. And they've been excellent off the timeout plays. I was just completely perplexed when I saw that. I had no idea what was happening in Brooklyn. All I know is that it's been a downtime. It's probably a buy a low window on Cam Johnson as well, because he hasn't been playing well. And I think there's value for him at the back end of rosters. Yep. Fringy top 100 player, but someone who people will probably be letting go. So keep your eyes for him on the waiver wire. But at the same time, if you can trade for him for a nice little piece, I think he's going to get better as well. Cam Thomas has obviously eaten into both of their returns this season.
I think that if we're going to talk about the Nets and we're going to mention Jacques Vaughn, we should point out that, comparing the Nets in their current form to the Nets last year, they traded away James Harden. Like, overall beard quality actually improved because what Jacques Vaughn has going on is magnificent. And James Harden might have the nickname, but his beard is just like pretty objectively worse. Like I don't know. Is anyone out there arguing for James Harden's beard over Jacques Vaughn's beard?
No, and can I actually? No. I'm literally. I'm sitting here right now going, you've just hit it on the head. I was I was watching. I'm going to put a picture of Jack Vaughan up. I'm going to save one real quickly and bring it up here. I actually thought, and this was completely crazy, that you and I have had the same thought at the same time, because I was watching the other day. Here we go. I'm going to upload a picture right here for it. I was watching the other day, and they showed a close up of Jacques, and I was like, he just looks like a more handsome, older version of James Harden.
Yeah,
I think his beard is, and I'm like, I think his beard is better.
Oh, it's
I'm
definitely
not
better.
sure.
It's definitely.
I'm going to put it up. I just got a picture of Jack Vaughan's beard. I can't believe we're talking about Jack Vaughan's beard. Yeah. Here we go. Open. But he looks like James Harden.
Important to talk about?
No, there he is. But if you look at James Harden, it's like looking like in a time machine.
I like that you got a picture where he's arguing with the ref, so we can really do the James Harden comparison.
I should try and find one of those with James Harden as well, where he's arguing. I've got a really fun. I've got a fun disgruntled one of him in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform, which I think is probably the more impressive one, to be fair. But I was like looking at him. If you can't look at that guy and don't think that looks very much every bit like James Harden, like an older version of this bloke, like, I mean, come on, time machine that. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy.
Look at it. Young Jack Vaughan.
Harden's eyes.
Current Jack Vaughan.
Harden's eyes are much bigger, but it's not crazy. It's not just the beard.
And it's just so immaculately trimmed. And the grays are like symmetrical. Yeah, like I've got some grays in mine, and the salt and pepper, you know what it's like, Alex. You know, it kicks in just randomly.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a gray patch right here, and then some gray, but maybe
the man is
not even
symmetrical. Symmetrical. Yeah. It's like he's the Reed Richards of beards. It's like these two perfect gray strips.
Tune in next week for more beard analysis.
We should like top 3 beards. Jack Vaughan #1 includes coaching staff. I think the other big news as well, though, we should mention is that the Dallas and Golden State Warriors game has been postponed in the wake, that was a real shame to hear how that happened for the Golden State Warriors organization. I think our hearts and our heads go to the families and just the players and the staff as well of this organization. It happened at a team dinner. Yeah. And that's just when you hear that and the people around, it says have this deep impact as well. To finish, though, on a positive note, so our love and our blessings to their families. Hey, guys, who has the best hairdo in the NBA? Is it Reggie Bullock or Luke Cornett? Can I just say, and I'm going to check this. I actually think Cole Anthony looks so much more handsome with the loss of the dreadlocks. When I saw him in the new haircut, I was like, geez, Cole Anthony, you're a handsome bloke. And I was all for the dreads on Cole Anthony. Like, that's been his staple. But yeah, shout out to him. I don't know, best hairdo.
Well, I do think you gotta sort of divide it.
Hey, baby.
I told my child he could come when the little hand was on the 5. And
it's on the 5. Well, you can get out of here.
Learning how to use a clock. Joe, one moment.
Hi, Joe.
Look at his pants.
Go get out of here. We got to wrap it up. Anyway. I actually thought you told Joe that you could come on when we start talking about Jack Vaughan's beard. That's the sign.
I mean, the best hair, he's also not wearing any pants right now. The best hair among you do have to a little bit separate by race, because I don't know how to compare like Domantas Sabonis hair to anyone else. Amongst the white players, Domantas Sabonis easily the best hair. I'm partial to Aaron Gordon's current. It's a little shaggy with the hey Joe. You want to say hi?
Hey Jojo.
Hey Daddy.
Hello,
you
Jojo.
Can say hi to the internet.
Hi. Hello, internet. Hello, Joe. That's super cute. Joe, love the dinosaurs, buddy. Hey, do you like basketball too, mate?
We both have earrings.
Yeah, we both have earrings. Do you like basketball, Joe?
Yeah, no.
No. Do you think Aaron Gordon has nice hair?
Yeah. Stop Aaron Gordon. By the way, I'm liking what D'Angelo Russell has done, Matt Carmody, with the redo of his thing up into the Predator style bun.
Yeah,
it's a little bit better than the I don't know, man. It's like a full on like weave into a weave. Like I'm vibing what D'Angelo's got going on right now.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite haircut one. We'll say thank you so much, man. It's been an absolute blessing and pleasure as always. Make sure, Alex, talk about what you're doing real quick. Give us some plugs so people can stay in touch with you.
Sure. A lot of what I'm doing involves this little guy. But every Friday I'm doing the waiver wire column on RotoWire and on CBS. So that came out, a couple hours ago. Go check that out. In your CBS app. In your CBS app or on the CBS website.
Hey, can I just say that is actually one of the best articles a week because it's no bullshit. No, I mean, it's no, wait, the earphones in or out? Earmuffs? No. Hi, Joe. I think it's one of the best waiver wire articles out there. It's factual. You use it specifically. And also you try and lean away from the most common ads. And I actually think you did that with Grayson Allen. I think it was one the other week. Like, I know it's not a sexy pick, but I'm going to say Grayson Allen is one of the way. And you were like, I'm going to make the case for the guy because he's maligned. And it's just, you take everything out of it and make it logical. So make sure you follow. And at Rikleen, Rikleen. The man is a fantasy basketball phenomenon and a great dad. Go. I'll just
thank you. Great to see you. Have a good week.
We'll see you all soon. Take care. Comments. Thank you so much. Thanks again, guys. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Be well.